the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. All together now, let's begin. Let the show begin.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here with John Mangelaars, CEO of Skyscanner. Welcome to Singapore, to WiT, because it's your first time, just like it's my first time.
Yeah, it's all new to me.
It's great. No, welcome.
Singapore is not, but WiT is.
No, same. Well, I'm new to Singapore and WiT, so equally delighted to be here. So let's just start with Skyscanner's role within the Trip.com group, because we hear a lot from Trip.com, we hear a lot from Skyscanner, but not about how they sort of pieces fit together. So start there for me.
Well, first of all, they're our main shareholder, so that's the simple explanation. But in general, I would say they have a couple of roles with us. One is they're a shareholder. The second one is they are on our board. The third one is they're a major partner in Skyscanner, like we have several major partners. And then the third one is, the last one is I would actually say is the most appealing one to us is we exchange quite a bit of technology information. So for example, when they launched the chat bot they have, they did a lot of testing on it, and we basically took all the good stuff and left the bad stuff. So it is on the business side, it's a regular relationship. On the technology side, we try to go a bit deeper. The beauty of having a shareholder like the Trip.com group is actually the Chinese background, and Chinese people or Chinese businesses, they think more long-term than Western businesses. The Western society is based on like the political system, like 2 to 4 years, actually 2 years before you get the next elections and stuff like that. And in the Chinese model, you have way more time to really build a company, and that's very beneficial to us. We can really take our time to build a great company, and things like Traveler First, Partner Second, Skyscanner Third is one of the values we have, and that can really come to life when you have a shareholder that thinks long term. So yeah, very happy with them.
I have to ask you, what was the bad stuff that you left behind with the chatbot?
I think the big learning is the cost. If you launch like an AI solution, a Gen AI solution on large scale, and you open it up for everybody, it's very expensive. So that was the big thing we learned very quickly. And the other one is basically we could talk to the engineers and figure out how hard it was to build it and how to build it. So, but it was mostly, I think when you talk about the real bad stuff, for us the realization that it's cost, it's very expensive. That's why we put it only in app, because we don't have it on desktop, we don't have it in MWeb, just on the app, is to protect basically the cost side of the house.
We're in Asia, we're in Singapore. What trends are you seeing in the region?
We just launched, we're launching as we speak our travel trends report, and there's a couple of things. There's still growth. People want to travel more than they did last year, and they already traveled last year more than the year before, which was coming out of COVID. So there's still more to come. People do want to have better experiences and want to have travel with and to friends and groups. So not in group travel, but like come together. And this can be around like health or earth or art or sports. So different or for example, gaming events. So they really want to travel with a purpose. I think that's a reaction to the shallowness of social media. So people really want to have a purpose to travel. I think the city I never heard about like is Tromsø, and Tromsø is a city in Norway where the Northern Light is the nicest to view. So all of a sudden this is a trending destination because people want to go to like the Northern Light. Those are the kind of things you see happening now. And then the third one is also very good for Skyscanner is actually people are still looking for deals. They don't want to have the cheapest price anymore, but they want to have a good deal. So this could be even premium economy or like a business class ticket, but they want to have good deals. And this is where Skyscanner comes into play. So both in helping the people finding those nice destinations, those special things through like AI-driven vibes, for example, or finding great deals, which is the core of our existence, is very much supporting our business model. But I would say those are the three things. There's a fun fact about Singapore. Half of the Singaporeans below 18 have traveled on their own already. So it's in their DNA to travel. So it's very, very interesting.
So what then are the sort of trends, what are the sorts of things that Skyscanner can do to tap into those trends? What are your plans along those lines?
Well, we continue when you look at sort of the areas where Skyscanner is investing, it's like 4 areas. One is the core of our engine, like to continue to find good deals, working with partners to get good deals, but also looking at NDC and figuring out how to get those deals to our travelers, share data to say, hey, this is a great value traveler, would you want to make an offer and stuff like that. So in the deal space, we continue to evolve and to invest. The second one is what people don't know is that 70 or 80% of the travelers come to Skyscanner not to book, but they come to explore. They need to know their budget, their destination, and their dates, for example. And we really build technology to help these people to find the latest vibes, to find unknown, undervalued destinations and those kind of things. Then the third one is they do come for, of course, they just don't need a flight, but they need a hotel and a car, which we provide as well. And then the last part is to create a global footprint, because there's a lot of people around the world that would like to travel. So we invest in a global footprint. I'm just on my way to Delhi to invest to open our Indian office as well there. So that's another office we're opening.
Exciting times. You mentioned the inspiration piece, the explore piece, and I think it's a year now that you launched the Dream and Discover AI service. So tell us how that's kind of grown. Is it the tantruming teenager, or is it a more mature person?
So I'll give the answer to this question, which is like what's going well about AI, how is it working, and then where do we see the most benefits. So the feature, we have 2 major features. One is what we call savvy search, which is it's like an interactive conversation with the search engine and say, hey, I want to go to a place where I can see the northern light, but I also want to swim and I like good food, and where should I go and when should I go? That is working pretty well. People like it. What we did learn is you need a lot of proprietary data to get it right, and to get it really right, it's not that easy, but it's like quite experimental. The other one is basically where we watch trends on the internet, trends in our search data, where we call it vibes, where we say, hey, this is where like these hip places around art or sports or concerts are trending, and you want to go there. So that's working pretty well for generative AI. What I personally see, where I see more benefit is in the machine learning space. So because I think that's more prime for production. We do a lot of work in machine learning, and you learn very simple things. For example, when we have the feature, the best flight for me in the winter can be a direct flight, but in the summer I might be willing to do a stopover, because it's fine to risk the stopover, like, and be stuck in somewhere. But if I'm in the winter stuck and I miss Christmas, that's kind of annoying. So things like best flight is not always the same. We're now, when you look on a mobile, you have only 3 positions of search results, and we're now in a place with our algorithms, with machine learning, that we're between 80 and 95% of the clicks are now in those 3 search results. So the machine learning has figured out how to get the most relevant information in front of the traveler without us doing a lot of manual interventions anymore. In the past, this would be like manual settings, and now it's all machine learning. So for us, machine learning is very ready for prime. The generative AI, a lot of testing. I personally think that you'll see a lot of great startups appearing, but I also think you'll see a lot of great startups disappearing, because they lack the bookability and they lack the proprietary data to make it very relevant for the traveler. So we'll see what's going to come out of that.
One of the things that said earlier on stage by Chris Hemmersher was that the industry is kind of tinkering around with AI. Would you agree that that's the stage we're at?
Yeah, this is another cliche, which is like we overestimate the short term, we underestimate the long term. So this is going to be big, but what you do see with travelers is we do a lot of testing, or user research, and people don't like the word AI anymore. I think the best AI you won't see. It's just happening, whether it's machine learning, whether it's generative AI. So I always make this joke in these kind of conferences. At some point, I think I bought a toothbrush, and it was like AI-powered toothbrush. Everybody added like AI to their like brand, and then they added 10% to the price, which was the same toothbrush. So I just think we have to be very clear on like how we apply AI to the benefit of the traveler, and then it's going to be good. But we're going to learn a ton as an industry. But I think we're going to see small steps and small features that are going to make things better, instead of like big steps in one go.
Now, you've talked in the past about the challenge, well, cost being one with AI. What others are you now seeing?
Yeah, the one I mentioned is the big one. Is I think you need a lot of data to make it relevant. The more data you have, the more relevant these models become. But it's proprietary data, and the data is going to refresh very quickly because it has to stay relevant. So you need very fresh, relevant data and masses of data to make it very relevant for people. And I think there's not a lot of companies who have that data. So we have a lot of discussion internally. We see the price of data going up in the market. Like people pay more and more for data, but we're like, are we going to sell our crown jewels? Is it like mortgaging the future? Because we did some interesting work with University of Edinburgh, where the students were able to reverse engineer the yield algorithm of an airline. So now we can almost predict when the price is going to drop. And what we learned was actually, you would think that the price goes up all the time until the departure date. And actually what you see with different airlines, there's a blip a couple of weeks before. So if we can, with AI, can regenerate that blip, then we don't need the data anymore. The machine will actually know what the yield algorithm is and will generate the data themselves. So it gets very tricky that when you share your data, somebody can reverse engineer your company and basically make you obsolete. So big debate around like, what do we do with data? How do we partner? On the one hand, you want to partner, you want to share data to build better solutions. Because for example, with an airline, you can say, hey, we have a traveler here, we know X, Y, Z. If we map that data we have here to your yield model, you can make them a special offer. You can decide what the price this customer should pay. So it's great to share that data, and this is what we should do, what we're doing. But on the other hand, the more data you share, the more risk you run that this data disappears in the public domain, and your company gets like reverse engineered, and they figure out all your algorithms. So it's very, very interesting debate.
Given how sort of data hungry it is, and given how costly you've said it is, does that preclude startups? I mean, there are startups in the room. Do you think they're going to find it difficult? Is it just going to be for the big players?
I think we need, the more startups we get, the better. But it's more like I'm old enough to be. I was part of the internet bubble, and was it 2020 or something? No, 2000. I can't remember even. Old enough. And there were a lot of very promising startups that didn't make it. But some startups did make it, like one of them was Amazon. That's now one of the most successful companies in the world. So if I would be a startup, I would not give up because I'm just saying like it's going to be hard. I'm just saying you have to be very clear on like what you need to be successful, and you need to make sure you fulfill those criteria. And one of them is data. If you don't have the data, it's very hard to be relevant, to build that relevancy model. And also if you, for example, if you're a Gen AI startup and you build an itinerary, you need to be able to book that itinerary, because if you can't book it, then people will just use you to build the itinerary and they go book on Skyscanner, which is, I appreciate that, but that's not like helpful for your startup. Now you could say like there's an affiliate model and there's connections and stuff like that, but it's just not as deeply integrated as it should be. So don't give up, keep going, but be honest with yourself and really think about what your road bumps are and how you're going to tackle those.
So past iterations of Skyscanner have included direct booking, obviously the meta model. Why is the path that you're on now the right one, do you think?
I think it's in our DNA too. So basically, there's a role for everybody in the system, and we learned it the hard way that we're not a transaction company. We're kind of a media travel company where we really help travelers find good deals and then hand them off to partners, or we help even travelers to find an itinerary to explore the world and get good ideas. That's what we're good at, and then we do it on a global scale. And we have so much work there that we have no desire. I certainly don't have a desire to become like a direct business again. It's just, I think, just what you're good at. And this is what we're good at.
Now, you talked a little bit about the fact that you're doing hotels, you're doing car hire. What other verticals can you do, or is it just a question of doing what you do better or more of? And could you do packaging, for example?
Yes, we could. There's a couple of things we could do. So one is we started with packages because we got questions from our partners to say, hey, we would like to do packages on Skyscanner as well. We got questions from travelers, and we can provide better offers to travelers if we do packages as well. So that's one of them. Another one is, I think, is big is rail. Although I haven't figured out like what the reason is for us to do rail. We are now in the place where we say it's an alternative to flight. So if you fly if you book a search for a flight from London to Paris, for example, we can say there's also a train, which is a better alternative, potentially better accessibility or better sustainability. Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll ever go into the rail vertical. It's just a very specific proposition, which is not so much for us either. Like we're very much around what happens around the flight, and have rail as an alternative to flight. We'll probably double down as well in the explore space, because that's where our travelers are telling us to go. They say like, we really want to use the Skyscanner knowledge to tell us where to go, and then find us a good deal. So that's just like where our sweet spot is.
If you could wave a wand over Skyscanner, what one thing would you fix? Our ability to execute all our ideas. I think this is an industry for everybody where there are so many ideas, like whether it's AI, whether it's deals, whether it's like NDC, whether it's like the whole inspiration space. We have so much opportunity. Then there's the global aspect. Then there's like this over-tourism and how do we get people into the right locations. There's so many opportunities we have as an industry, but I think that's one thing I would like to do, which is be able to like execute on all our ideas and get them done properly. I think another thing I would like to do is, but that's probably harder to get done, is I think as an industry we still need to come together and make it easy for the traveler to have an end-to-end experience. It's not just the booking experience, the check-in, but the amount of times I'm having to show my passport or give my email name when I'm traveling is just shocking. So I think as an industry we can do so much work together to really build a better experience, whether it's like explore, the book, the check-in, but then go to the hotel. Like you don't have to give your passport number that has already been given. You go into your room. It's like your key is on your phone. Like you walk into the room like there's like the bed linen you like, what have you. So I think as an industry, I would love to. That's if I one day wake up and say, yeah, we made a lot of progress, and something we should step up as an industry. So just briefly, as we finish up here, what's one thing that you wish was cheaper?
I should say flights, right? Yeah, I think some of the flights are not fair anymore. I would still say flights. I was going to say good food, and good wine, but because I like good wine. But I think some of the routes, I think airlines are going a bit over the top and say they should be careful like what they charge and yield, because people are starting to change airlines. They build up loyalty points and then they walk away from the airlines. So I think in the days of like lower demand, lower supply, I think that you can do this. But we see already a lot of deals coming through in the system. So clearly there's starting to become overcapacity, and airlines are starting to see routes that are not full, because we see in our systems and our data there's deals coming through, there's price drops coming through. So yeah, I think some routes are just not okay.
What's one area that you'd like to have more money to invest in?
In general, like engineers to get the work done. I think at the end of the day, I made a statement like I want to run Skyscanner with 1,500 people. That's probably not enough anymore, but I would love to hire like 500 engineers. But then, if you add 500 engineers, you also add complexity for 500 engineers. So it goes back to the point about like how can I scale to do all the work I want to do while maintaining my focus and my manageability. So I think that's a question you as a startup always have, which is how do you manage your growth with your complexity? And for Skyscanner, I think that's always a question we will continue to have, which is how do I manage my growth and how do I avoid the complexity while investing in people, while investing in the platform.
And finally, what's one area that you wish was easier? One thing that you wish was easier?
That's a good one. I think it is like, yeah, making technical progress. Because from an idea to launching somebody, people say, oh, you do agile, you launch something and then it's it's going to stick or it's not going to stick. But from an idea to having it properly live, it's about a year. But also from like having the first version till realize the potential is another year. And it takes a lot of energy to go from like 10 to 100. So if I could shorten that cycle from like idea to going live, and then from live to like production, from 10 to 100, I think that would be would be worth a lot of value, because then I could do more things for travelers, which would be great. So yeah, so shorter time to market.
John Mangelaars, CEO of Skyscanner, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
They're ready now. Let the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. Take center stage now. Let's begin. Let the show